this one. And then we looked at, should we send the data over to the cloud if the temperature is not changing? Temperature did not change for, like, say, an hour, so we did not send any data for 1 hour. We collected the data in here, checked, oh, did it change from the previous reading? No. Did it change from the previous reading? No. And then if it changed, then only that data was sent over to our rule and analytics engine. It's connected directly with BMS. It took how many occupants are there, what's the temperature, can we bring down the temperature of the building, then send the information to BMS system which control the HVAC through actuators to either like change the setting or move from grid to battery storage. So like a lot of systems are involved here because it's not a simple implementation. I mean that is still a roadblock for many companies. That they don't understand all of this. Even their internal teams did not understand how to go about all of this. They brought in like buying a sensor is easy, okay, like for a siloed use case, but then integrating it with the entire system that's where like we come. So next please. Okay, so after doing all of this, the result was like overall we tracked month-to-month energy consumption before the implementation, like what was going on, to after the implementation. And overall, during the period of a year, like we actually saw 20% reduction in overall energy cost. And especially from HVAC system, like 25% from the HVAC system, which brought down the total cost by 20%. So they started seeing the ROI. Okay, their ROI was about 3 years. Okay, like cost of implementation to what they saved was about 3 years. And that's especially because we utilized other methodology, like I mentioned, edge gateways to reduce the cost. And that like project, there were some important things, like when we worked with them, they had a lot of criteria, like it should be secure, like private. We cannot send any occupant data anywhere. So when I talk about the occupancy sensors, it did not take any pictures or did not collect the personally identifiable data. It was only about if the person is there or not. Because there are like a lot of complexity with regulation about the data, what kind of data could be collected. And then we send only relevant data to the cloud. Like we talk only in terms of like number, not we had to like we did not even like send the data, like I said, floor 1, floor 2 or floor 3. We actually like changed the names, first masked the data to change the names and encrypted the data. Cost consideration, I mean they wanted it to be very less, and that's where we came in. We said, don't go to cloud, first bring in edge devices. So edge processing was done. We used open source technology, IoT platform. There are very pricey IoT platforms available in the market, and there are open source. So if you have some internal teams that can support it, open source technology is good. Like lower cost to implement, better ROI. Then interoperability and scalability was big. Like that was one of their hindrances, and that's what we did. We normalized all the protocols to MQTT, no dependency on the hardware providers, SaaS. We did not pay for SaaS software. Security, separate network, like different from the building network. Wi-Fi separate, and encryption and firmware updates were all required. There are environmental benefits to it. Okay, if we can save the energy cost, carbon emissions, reduction in carbon emissions, and I mean, if all the buildings can implement the global, globally, if all of the buildings can implement the smart energy system, they can reduce the cost by, they can reduce the global carbon emissions by almost 10%. So what are the future trends? Very big trend which is going on is AI. I mean, we all know about these LLMs. Another big thing is Edge AI. So these systems that we implemented were not smart in itself. Like they do not have any AI on this one. Because AI requires a lot of computing power. It requires like GPUs, okay, lot of like power. So cloud is very good for AI. How do we bring the AI to these smaller devices? That is one of the trends, and that kind of AI is called federated AI, where you can do AI on these smaller devices using the federated AI model, and that's what we are exploring right now with QuantiEdge. Grid interactive building, so interacting with grid directly to understand when does grid needs energy and then respond to the demand from the grid. And that's one of the big things. And predictive maintenance is big. Like on these smart buildings, how can we detect that HVAC system might require service even before it does? Okay. So there are a lot of trends going on. We are focusing on the Edge AI, IoT, and federated machine learning models. Okay, so that was the end of like the presentation. But I wanted to talk about like what we are doing for QuantiEdge. I recently launched this company with my co-founder, and we are working with like few engineers on contract to do the smart buildings project, the smart factories project. So what we do is we understand what are the use cases of IoT and IoT in various industries and how we can reduce the cost of analyzing all this data, how we can enable them as a system integrator. So we can bring in various different systems and work on projects with the internal teams, or we can take on the complete project. We are also building a product which would be a smart edge device with a federated machine learning, so that we can bring the power of machine learning to smaller devices rather than these big Gen AI models on the cloud, like Gen AI and OpenAI is very big. Okay, but the cost to run all these APIs on the cloud is very high. How do we use the open source model like Llama models on the edge by stripping the big models and only keep the relevant models on these smaller devices? So that's what we are exploring as it. That's about it for today. I mean, questions? Like on the project or anything related to the topic.
Do you use Node-RED for part of the workflows and what you do before you bring things into the cloud to be able to consolidate the communication? Is that one of the tools that you utilize?
Not in this implementation, but yes, Node-RED, we have used it for like smart factory implementations. The platform that we used here had its own way to build the workflows. So that's why we did not. We used Insport